All right, welcome back to Frontline Fridays, where we dive into the hearts and minds of leaders who elevate retail and hospitality right in the front lines to greatness. And what is their secret sauce? We are here to find out. This show is brought to you by YOOBIC, the AI-powered mobile app that gives frontline teams the performance tools they need to communicate, learn, and work right in the palm of their hand. And I'm Ron Thurston, your guide on this journey. I'm the author of the best-selling book, Retail Pride, a longtime retail leader and co-founder of a company called Aussie, where we completely reimagine retail recruiting, from free digital profiles for candidates to our flat rate fee model for retailers that will save you up to 85% off of traditional recruiters. We are changing the game. So go to useaussie.com to learn more. But most importantly, I would like for you to meet Yolanda Vega, the dynamic director of stores for the Southeast and Central regions at Zadig&Voltaire, where she's at the forefront of transforming contemporary fashion for today's luxury market. With a robust 20-year career in retail, Yolanda has become synonymous with excellence, leading and inspiring teams at iconic brands including Gap, J.Crew, and Ralph Lauren to achieve remarkable business growth. Yolanda's exceptional ability to develop store teams and coach them into strategic leaders is nothing short of her superpower. She's fiercely dedicated to igniting retail careers, encouraging her teams to dream big, plan, and execute. And we're going to talk about that today. Yolanda and I are actually neighbors here in Miami, where she enjoys the sun, Pilates, and her time with her dog, Sancho. Her passion for both fashion and life makes her a true force in our industry, and I'm really happy to have you here. So welcome, Yolanda, to Frontline Fridays.
What an intro. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome. It's fun. It's fun to do that. So we just met a couple of months ago, and we were chatting on LinkedIn, and then I discovered you are a Retail Pride fan, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you were having an event at your store here in Miami. I'm like, I want to come and meet you. And we sat and had a coffee for a couple of hours, and I'm personally obsessed with you. So just give us like a little bit of history. Tell us a little bit more about Zadig, a little bit more about your background. And, you know, we have a lot of people in common. We've discovered John Moyers, who was your boss at a couple different companies, was a friend of mine for over 25 years. So I just love that about our industry. But give us a little bit more about you and Zadig.
Yeah, no, I've been in retail for almost 22 years. And, you know, I started as a part-time sales associate at Banana Republic. And from there, I realized that that's what I wanted to do. And I started to grow, and, you know, from there became a full-time man and a supervisor, a manager. And, you know, I've had a lot of experience with high visibility, high volume buildings, which, you know, really prepared me to join Zadig&Voltaire. And, you know, I've been here for almost 8 years, and I've been part of the growth of this amazing brand. And, you know, we've continued to evolve and evolve our service, and, you know, just in a really great point for this brand right now.
Good for you. Congratulations. And always in these in-field roles. You know, you love the field, you love your teams, and you know, we're going to talk specifically about store visits because that's not a topic that we've covered, but I think it's about so much about storytelling and so much about recognizing strengths and finding opportunities, and because you come from the field, you really understand what that means and how to showcase that. So if we dig into just storytelling and we set the stage for a conversation about a store visit, why has it been in your career and in mine such a foundation of success, or a foundation of what it means to run stores? Why is the visit so important?
Well, I think, you know, that is the opportunity to highlight what you do every day and how you get there, in a for an executive group. And, you know, and I think that, you know, when you are presenting to executives, they see the numbers, but they don't necessarily may know you. So, So I think that's an opportunity for people to get to know you. And when we talk about storytelling, and I tell my people all the time, what's your story? What do you want them to walk out of this store knowing about you and your team? So I think that's really important when you put together a visit. And what is going to be the message? What's the story?
And so when you do that, so you've got big company goals, you've got big kind of overarching, you may have regional goals, you may have things you're working on as a region, as a store. What's your message around crafting the narrative of how all of that is woven together?
Well, I think it's important to establish a couple of things, right? Like, what are the company focuses and what are the region focuses? Because me as a multi-unit, I want my executive and my CEO, my VP to walk out of there and say, okay, they're in tune. The whole region is in tune. So how, I think it's important to sit there and clarify what those are. Make sure that all of the team knows. And I was thinking about this last night. What a moment when an executive breaks away and starts talking to your part-time employee and you didn't prepare them. That's a moment, right? Like the blood drains from your face and you're like, oh my, what are they saying? So you need to make sure that you're preparing everybody on your team and that everybody is on the same page. I think that's really, really important. But also, who's coming to visit? Who's my audience? Because that's gonna really lead what the story is about. Right? So is it an HR visit? Is it an IT focused visit? So what is it? And what are we gonna weave your story from your building about, right? And the other part of it is, let's look at the big picture of the store. Like, let's say we're not making plan, but we're gonna be number one in capture at the register. We're going to be number one in learning and development completion. So, we may not be winning at this, but we're going to highlight everything else that we're winning at. So I think that's part of creating and weaving your story. I think that's really important.
And when you chat with that part-time person and you say, like, here, let me tell you a little bit about what's going to happen today. How do you articulate like why this is important and relevant? Because not everybody cares as much as we do.
Of course.
So like, why should they care?
Well, number one, I would be hiring and surrounding myself with people that care, right? So I think that's number one. But even if they don't, I think that it's important to understand what this visit can do for the store, for the team. And we're talking about resources. This visit could mean you get a full-time position added because they realize you need it, right? Because they don't understand the complexity of your business. This visit could end up, with more payroll, which is going to impact them and give them an opportunity to get more hours. So how to break it down for a part-time employee to understand how important these visits are, because they give us resources to give back to you. So I think that's really important to bring them on the journey.
Yeah. Like what's ultimately in it for them.
Yeah.
If this is what communicate our opportunities and successes, this is how this will impact you. And I think that why, then all of a sudden it makes more sense and they want to show up and they want to be proud of what they've been doing. Yeah, that's amazing.
So I think the why for me as a store manager, right, if I'm prepping for a visit, the why would be like, I can get more payroll hours so I can make plan. For a part-timer is I can get more hours so I can have, money to go out or gas money or money for college, whatever it may be. So I think the why is important and to break it down.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your coaching. So as you're preparing, you mentioned things like to me separately, like the handshake, all of it. Like, let's talk about preparing for this. And part of why we wanted to have this is that these moments, and we're going to chat about it can be very career changing, and how you coach people to win in these pivotal moments around a visit are important. So walk us through what that looks like for you.
Well, number one, I'm highly connected with my team. And, I am, because I'm highly connected with them, I'm able to provide feedback about things that maybe other leaders have not provided feedback on. And we spoke about the handshake, right? So I always think of my dad would tell me, you have to have a strong handshake. Luca, you have to go in. That starts any relationship that you have, business relationship, and I know that there's people out there that can tell you that I've said, okay, let's practice your handshake. Because the visit starts the moment that they park, right? So already when they go in and shake your hand, the visit house has already started, 20 steps ago. So I think it's important for those things that build confidence, right? A strong handshake, eye contact, and those are the things that I talk to people about because they make a difference when you're leading a visit.
Yeah.
Especially with executives.
Yeah, absolutely. What about financially and some of the other KPIs, the summaries, the paperwork? How do you prepare for that?
I think my biggest thing is, number one, if your company doesn't have a document to use for visits, make one. Make one. And I'm going to give you an example. 2 or 3 years ago, we had a big visit from the CEO. Sustainability is a big initiative for us at Zadig. And my team and I came up with the idea of having a virtual store document that we could email to executives as they walk in. Today is a very different world than a retail from 10, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, executives would come in, you would hand them a packet and say, these are our store stats. We don't do that anymore because we're sustainable, right? So I decided to, with my team, and they helped me put together a document so that we could share with executives, right? And be sustainable. So we did that. But I think in terms of numbers, when we talk about numbers, executives know the numbers. They know them. So I think the important thing about a visit is, how do we get there? That's what they want to know. Who got us there, right? How did we get there? And what are you guys doing in store? And I think that perfect. Have your numbers. You should know your numbers 100%. But I think the whole point of a visit is to walk them through how you get there.
Right. And even share the challenges along the way, that are impacting your business. So it's not always great news. The flash may not always present it may not look great, but if you have a smart strategy and story behind your action behind it, then you can help just navigate that can sometimes be difficult conversation.
Well, and that's why I say when we work through what your story is, and I think I said this earlier to you, we might not be making plan. We may be down to plan.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about everything else that we're doing that we are winning in. Let's say learning and development, we're 100% compliance. CRM capture at the register, we're going to be close to 100%. So those are the things that then you focus on and you lean into. And let's say you're not making plan, but you're making a why. Celebrate that. I think that's really important. And also the tone of a visit, it can't be doom and gloom. We're not making plan. We're struggling. No, like you need to talk about, we're taking this time to train our people. We're taking time to develop. We've promoted a part-time into a full-time role. I promoted an assistant manager into a general manager role. These are all the things that we're doing. We might not be making plan, but we're doing all of these other things and we're ready for when that traffic comes back, we're ready. Yeah. The team is trained and ready.
Yeah. And when you think back in your career, even pre-Zadig, and brands like Banana Republic and Ralph Lauren, and these brands also well known for big group visits. And so like how has just your kind of personal experience around this, how has your opinion of visits evolved in your career? Because you've both of us, we've been on a lot of visits, we've led a lot of visits. Yeah. What's your overarching idea of this?
I think, and I would say especially with Ralph Lauren, I learned so much in my time with them. I had a fantastic experience there, and it allowed me to grow in a way as a store manager, as a multi-unit, that I would have never gotten that experience anywhere else. With Ralph, I went to Woodbury and I ran their children's store there, gosh, like 11 years ago. And but we were in the backyard of the home office. So you have to be visit ready every day. There's not like letting my hair down, like, oh, today's calm day. No, you can't let your hair down one day, right? Especially in a high visibility building. And I think that's what I convey to my people the most is if you're visit ready every day, then a visit is coming, you're not stressing out about it. You're not, anything hidden in the closet. Like, no, like everything is clean, everything is ready to go. But specifically for me, the one thing that I will say that has not changed is it's a visit. You're professional through and through. Like you don't let your hair down. From the moment that they park in the parking lot to the moment that you see them leave, you're still on a visit. And, and I think nowadays, sometimes people can be too casual. And that's my feedback to my people. Don't be casual. Like they can be casual. We can't. And literally my people could quote me because I say this all the time. They can be casual. They can do it, right? We're not going to do it. So I think that that's the one thing that I would say I give the most feedback on is professional, buttoned up. It doesn't matter the brand, cool, calm, collect. No, buttoned up. Like, let's make sure we over prepare and over deliver. Like that's my biggest thing, buttoned up.
I love it. And that's what that is pride. Is
Yeah.
that you really show up in a way that you are so proud to share details, celebrate your teams, talk about results, talk about customers, talk about product, all of this, you are buttoned up and professional because you're proud of what you do and you don't take it casually.
No, and buttoned up doesn't mean that I'm not charming. Buttoned up doesn't mean that I'm not
Right.
gonna have a great convo and have a laugh. Buttoned up means, that we're always on visit mode. I can be talking to you if you were my visit and you're my CEO and we're walking through. I'm keeping an eye on what is the customer interaction in the corner. Did anybody help that customer that walked in? And I tell my team all the time, if I make eye contact with you, something's happening. Like, just keep an eye on my eyes because something I'm always keeping an eye on. And then I think that's the most important thing, to make sure that that also highlights the level of engagement that you have in your store. Like, how engaged are you with everything that's happening, even though you're leading a visit? That you can step away and be like, excuse me. I think that is one of the best things you can do if you see like a client say, oh, excuse me 1 second, and be able to walk away, or have, if you have an assistant manager with you and be like, hey, can you, and do that while you're doing a visit. I think that highlights that you're highly engaged in what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And the customer knows, I love that as a customer, I know what's going on and I see it.
Yep.
I see it going down of like, I'm observing it now as someone on the outside of kind of what are they saying? How are they responding? How are they addressing customers? And so often customers know what's happening and you want to be able to sure that they're involved. Oh my gosh, like, would you like to meet the CEO of the company? Oh, great. Let me introduce you. I think those are just fun moments to have too, that
But also,
maybe were unplanned.
Yeah, well, unplanned, and maybe plan them. If you have a visit, you should schedule an appointment with your top client. I'm just saying, like, create those moments to happen. You never know.
Yeah.
But I think it's, it's about being thoughtful and to highlight when you said earlier to have pride. Yes, like we work really hard. We work long hours, weekends. A visit is such a great moment to highlight what you and your team do every day. And I think that is, really important. And we talk about catapulting careers, like highlight what you do every day and be able to, if you are able to, get that message across to an executive and say, this is what I do every day. This is how I get here, and the other part of it is every visit an executive is going to ask you, What can we do for you? You should have an answer already. It shouldn't have a moment of they ask you that question and you're like, oh, well, no, have an answer. Have an answer. Absolutely have an answer.
Yep. Yep. And I want to share, I think both of us, when we met, we shared this idea of, we both got, I know I did, I can't speak for you, promoted because of a store visit.
Mhm.
And I wanted maybe you share your story, I'll share mine quickly. I reference it in Retail Pride, but give us your kind of the core foundation of why you think it's important, because it was personally impacted you.
Yeah. Well, and I'll speak specifically about my time at Ralph Lauren. Back in the day, there was a children's store. Now it's together, but there was a children's store separate in Dolphin Mall. That's where I worked for Ralph. And I had a regional visit, and the VP came in, and I knew I had a good visit, and my biggest opportunity there was to say, I want to be promoted and I'm relocatable. And right after that visit, there was an opportunity to, take a job in New York, and I took it. I decided to, move, which was a risk and a sacrifice. So, but it paid off. One of the best experiences I've ever had.
And it may not have happened if you didn't prepare, and everything you've just been sharing on this call, that was who you were, and all of a sudden you're presented with an opportunity in the most important market for a company.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
I also think, it's not all pretty. There's bad visits too, and you learn from those. And if you don't mind me sharing, I'll share my tough visit, and continuing with this story, my first visit in New York. I thought I was the new kid on the block. I was ready. I was going to have a fantastic visit. I'm almost sure it was a merchandising visit.
Okay.
Gosh. And we get there, all the visitors get there. It's VPs, buyers, allocators. I had missed some promotions and some signage, and I was ready to start the visit, and they said, why don't you change the signs and then we can start the visit? I took, bruised my ego a little bit. It never happened to me again. It never happened to me again. It will never happen to me again that I missed something. And I think that, it's important to delegate. You can't do it all. And if you have a team, you need to be able to delegate and make sure that you're crossing out from your list at the morning of a visit, signage, windows, mannequins. So those are the things that you need to do. And, and that was a tough visit, but it never happened to me again. I learned from that. I learned a lot from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. I think becoming overly confident because you'd had success, sometimes things fall through the cracks.
Absolutely. I got promoted. I'm in New York, I'm great. No, it humbled me down real quick.
Yeah, but think about it today. You expect that same attention to detail of your teams and everything that they do, because ultimately, missed sign sounds minor, but it's not. It's not to the customer. It's not to their experience. It's not to the business. A sign actually is a really important part of any business.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, even if you have a visit, it's all around the customer experience. And actually, you asked me earlier how I think it's changed visits, and I think it's the customer focus, because business is not what it used to. I don't think that the days of us opening the doors to a line of people ready to walk in happens as often. So, how do you, still have a great visit that's customer focused? I think that's really important.
Agreed. I'll share mine because it, kind of quickly too, this idea very early in my career made a big impact. And I write about it briefly in Retail Pride, but it was probably like 1995. So we're talking like 30 years ago. but I was a store manager of a Gap Kids store because I also started in kids, in the Beverly Center in LA. And the week of Christmas, I had done an overnight. It was like December 20th, like same signage changes, markdowns, replenish the floor. It was a high volume store. I think it was number 2 in the region. We had a lot of stores then. And so I'd done it overnight. I literally like went home at 4 a.m. I'd worked, slept for a couple of hours, took a shower, came back to the store, and the entire like executive team was there on a surprise visit the week of Christmas. And the store was spectacular. The store looked unbelievable, fully replenished, fully marked down. Like we were ready to do great business. I'm not kidding. January 1st, I got the call for a district manager opportunity.
That's
And
fantastic.
that would never have happened if I hadn't done that. And so no idea this corporate jet landing in LA, we're going to go visit Ron at the Beverly Center. And it changed my life. And so I will always have those moments of, you're always prepared for the customer. You always want to deliver best business. You're always
Yes.
proud. You put your best foot forward. And yes, of course, we're all exhausted by the time Christmas comes when you work in big mall businesses like you and
Yeah.
I both have. But those moments, then people recognize it and they see that pride, and decisions are made, and never look back. Was a multi-store leader from then on.
And it makes it all worth it. Like having a good visit and that moment when they walk out of your building and you have that moment of saying, oh, that went well. Good. It feels really good, and obviously like this is my career. I love this. I love what I do. And I love a visit. I get nervous like anyone else does. I still do when I have visits, but that's why I over prepare, and I'm really proud of my team and my people. I'm a people-centric leader. So for me, my people are really important. So I want to make sure my people look good. And, that's the culture I created in my region is, we got each other's back, right? And I'm going to prepare you. And if I have to give you feedback, I'll give you feedback behind closed doors, but we're going to win at this visit. So, I think that that's really important for your people to also see how connected you are and how much you want them to win. And ultimately this is, again, we sacrifice. This is a job where we work long hours, extended hours for the holidays. And, these visits are a pocket, a moment in time to show how we got there and show all the work that we do. And you should celebrate that.
And right. And decisions then are made based
Correct.
on what happens. So it may feel like, a lot of preparation for 30 minutes. And you could judge that of saying that's not money or time or payroll well spent. What I would counter with that as my career grow, of like decisions are made by people that may only visit your store once a year, and that they are talking about you when the room talks about career path and high potential, and you're doing this impressions and decisions are being made about you when you're not in the room based on visits. And that this is where it becomes so powerful. And I don't think we can overstate, because you and I now have been on both sides of the table, how important this conversation is. And it seems silly and it's super old school and it's always been this way, but I'm sorry, it just is what it is, and it's real, and we need to talk about it.
We need to talk about it because, a visit could go from, wow, Yolanda was very engaged. She knew her business, she was connected with her team, she was talking to us and still managing that floor, just even with a look. Wow, what a power that, she's exuding out there on the floor. Or it could be, that didn't go well. And, and I think that's where we talk about, a career, a career next, what's next for you. And, you need to be able to say, I'm handling this and I'm good. I'm okay handling this. This is what I'm highlighting. Like I have all of this under control and we're winning and I'm ready for next. So let's have that combo. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. And you earned then the opportunity to have that combo.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd say, of like So then when you're ready to ask, you have proven that you have the ability, you've earned that opportunity. And that also sounds maybe traditional or old school, but it's just the reality. Again, like you're not going to just handed the promotion, you're not going to be handed those opportunities or those conversations. You earn it, you showcase your work, you showcase your team, the results you're delivering, and then you're ready to talk about it. So
Yeah,
I can tell that you're very good at this.
well, and thank you. But I also, the one thing we were talking about is that confidence that you exude as a leader. And I said it earlier, I get nervous. I still get nervous. I'm going to run the visit. And I think that's, when we talk specifically about how to run a visit, you welcome at the door, good handshake, practice your handshake, and be confident, make eye contact, and keep them moving. Nothing worse than, an executive saying, okay, we can move on. Okay, like, let's go. Let's keep it moving. Again, usually whenever there's an executive visit, there's several visits in a day, in an area. You could be one
Right.
of 4 visits. So, also read the room. And I put this on my notes and I'm looking at it right now. Read the room. Like, is it a visit where you can, take a little bit more time, or do you see that, they want to move along? Read the room and you
Yeah.
can gauge that. But it's your visit as a store manager, you lead it, like, keep them moving. The other note I
I
made
love
is make sure none of your lights are out. Check your lights and change your lights. You don't want to be called out for a light out. So, I think it's important that you really lead the way when you have a visit, because that
it.
also shows your confidence as a leader in your building. How comfortable are you in your building?
Yeah. Right. Right. And that's part of just the planning part. I would just
Yep.
add, you're right. You're one of 5. Like, what snacks do people like? I love, store would know that things, hey, like, Ron's a healthy eater. Let's make sure we have like almonds or like water, like Ron likes black coffee. Like, all those things, I'm sorry, they work.
They work.
And I loved it. And I'm like, you really didn't have to, but I'm really glad you did. So just like, that's planning. Like, it's not just where are they parking? Where are you going? What is the day? How do they feel? What's their energy level? Where are they staying? And what
Yep.
can you do at the hotel? So there's layers of all of this that can fall
I
into the planning process.
I always say have a table, your break table in the back, set up with a basket with healthy snacks, have, some candy just in case somebody wants a little something because they need some energy, and have waters and offer it up. You should always ask, do you want to put your stuff down? And they'll let you know yes or no. I think those are the small things that you can do to really start leading your visit, and you set the tone, and they're gonna be like, oh, okay, she's engaged. She got it. She knows. That I think those are the things that set you apart. There's 4 visits in one day. Why are they going to remember Yolanda? You know, what's the one thing? So I think that's really important. And from a multi leader unit perspective is, did my stores all have the same message? So also, not only from a store manager perspective, but from a multi-unit, is the VP understanding that all your stores have the same message? Really, really important.
It's your name attached in the multi-store role.
Yeah.
You can see consistency. You can see you through it. You see the company themes. You see you through it, and then they see the execution at the store level.
Absolutely.
Well, Yolanda, we're out of time, but this was such a pleasure.
So
We could talk
good.
about
Thank
this,
you.
for another half an hour, but
I
really
could.
a pleasure. I'm so happy that we're friends and neighbors and we can spend more time together. And congratulations on your career,
Thank you
because
so much.
I know why you're successful. I see it, can see it in your teams, and it's just a joy to know you and to celebrate your success. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. So to our listeners, keep learning and inspiring. I will be back after the Memorial Day holiday on June 7th with 2 more incredible leaders from Blue Dot, Joe Cox, who's the regional manager, and Jen Steichen, who's the VP of Retail, newly joined to Blue Dot, who I've known also for many years. So this is what I love about this show. Be sure to follow YOOBIC on LinkedIn for more show details. And if you're on the hunt for next generation communication, micro learning, and task management tools to guide your frontline teams into the future, check out what YOOBIC can do. Just click the link in the comments below, and have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you again, Yolanda.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.